Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show, FitLife, Healthy Mind and Body. My name is Natalia Kotowska, and I will be your host. This is UK Health Radio, the world's #1 talk health radio. With over 13 years of international experience in sport and fitness, years of studies, I would like to share my experience, knowledge, and most importantly, my endless love and passion for living a healthy lifestyle for my mental and physical well-being. On this show, we will be talking about fitness, sport, healthy living, nutrition, fitness fads, and more. We will be answering your questions. We will have guest speakers. Are you ready? Then let's go! October, the month of menopause. Menopause is a normal part of woman's life. It is sometimes called the change of life. It is a natural part of aging that typically affects women between the ages of 45 and 55, and its trigger as a woman's estrogen level begins to decline. In the UK, the average age for a woman affected by menopause is 51. I know we're already in November, but last month I had this great opportunity to speak to Sujata, a certified health coach who helps busy women live healthier and happier life by making small yet sustainable changes to their diet, lifestyle, and mindset. In over 10 years, Sujata has worked globally to share knowledge and influence over 16,000 plus individuals through her coaching programs, wellness and cooking workshops, talks, and social media platforms. Working with mindfulness technique, she helps her clients to break through their limiting self-beliefs, to become aware of their feelings, thoughts, and emotions. Breaking one barrier at a time with a win, she supports them in bringing back positivity, self-belief, happiness, and confidence. Sujata, welcome to the show.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Nagging pain. We at Alka-Cells know that a small amount of the patient's own bone marrow and blood cells can treat many painful conditions with regenerative orthopedic therapy. This is an attractive treatment option for painful joints, back pain, sports injuries, and many other conditions. It may avoid the need for surgery altogether. Alka-Cells, part of a network of 50 RegenX clinics worldwide, where over 60,000 patients have been treated and helped. Alka-Cells. Life is more beautiful with less pain.
A cancer diagnosis can be scary and stressful for everyone involved. Hello Love is a contemporary living space and well-being center in central London where anyone can come and learn about illness prevention and non-toxic practice. Inside, you will find a vegan restaurant, juice bar, and holistic dojo that encourage lifestyle changes to help heal mind, body, and spirit connection. Cancer patients are offered free sessions. To find out more, please visit us at hellolove.org.
The station that makes you feel good.
I would love to welcome you and thank you for taking your time on Monday morning to have that nice little chat about important topic for ladies, which is the menopause. So welcome, and thank you for taking your time.
Thank you so much, Natalia, for having me on this very important talk, especially this month when it is, the month where we are talking about menopause.
That's correct. Yeah, no, thank you so much, because I think, that topic doesn't really apply to me yet, but I've dealt with many ladies who I train, as well as even my family members that are actually going through that. And so it's a very interesting topic, and I would love to, as well as my audience, probably gain more knowledge and awareness about what is menopause, how to deal with it, what's the right approach, how to handle it with very healthy and, I would say, mindful, holistic approach.
Yeah, and it is a natural process. I think we sometimes worry about it because of what we read in, in the papers or in magazines or on the internet. We listen to friends or family discuss their experiences, and we think it's going to be something that's going to be really a difficult time for us, and we dread it. But I always think the more information we have, the better informed we are. We can prepare, we can plan, and we can then, go through it more smoothly than we would have otherwise. It's like anything in life. If we plan and prepare, we'll find that it's an easier process for us, both physically and emotionally and mentally as well.
Couldn't agree more. Actually, I've realized with myself often that if I'm more prepared or aware of things, then I tend to handle it emotionally and mentally way better than if something comes at me just as a surprise. Probably some people might disagree or might like more of a surprise element, but for me, if I have more knowledge or awareness,
Yeah.
my mental state is way better, and emotions, I deal with it way better.
Yeah. And I think for all of us as women, we know that this is coming. It's not something that may or may not happen. It's definitely going to happen. The age at what it happens, will vary from woman to woman. But because we know it's a state we're going to be going through, we can begin to, just change some of our routines, change some of our habits, because our hormones are changing. Mm-hmm. So we've got to adapt our lifestyle for these changes in hormones and plan accordingly for it. And just by doing a few little things that add up over some time, we'll find that this cumulative effect of these changes we're making does make a bigger difference, either during perimenopause or, even during menopause itself.
Mm-hmm. But before we start the fantastic topic of menopause, I would like you to just introduce yourself. I have your fantastic bio and it's full of amazing achievements, but I would like our audience to get to know you more.
Yeah, so my name is Sujata Din. I have been coaching for over 10 years now, and I started this journey for my own personal health reasons. Prior to this, I used to be a chartered accountant. So the shift was really made because I was going through, health concerns, and I found that, just making a few changes on its own wasn't helping me, and seeing the doctors and getting medication wasn't helping me. I realized I needed to do more than just take medication or just to take supplements. So for me, this began as a personal journey, and it has been almost a blessing in disguise, I think of it as, because it has allowed me to get more connected with my own body, become more aware of what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, my lifestyle. And as I improved my own health, I then went on to help other people, mainly women I work with. And I just show them how to adapt and improve their own routines. And I guide on 3 areas, Natalia. So I guide on making healthy changes for the diet, the lifestyle, and the mindset.
All 3. Which is extremely important, because all of them are connected, which we sometimes don't understand. How, for example, healthy mind equals healthy body, and healthy body equals healthy mind and psychic. So it's very important to understand that one doesn't exist without the other, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
Yes. So I know you're coaching 100 million of women, and you're very successful with that. So as a starter, if someone is not aware yet, I'm actually now going to be 35. So to me, this topic of menopause is still a little bit like black magic. So if you can just briefly explain what is menopause, how we can identify it, what's the basic definition of it for someone who is completely clueless?
So menopause, so let's just even maybe step back. So, we look at, women or girls as well going through puberty, and during this stage, so we're born with a certain number of eggs in our ovary. And over time, these number of eggs will decline. So we go through changes during puberty, and then, for some women, it will be in their 40s. For some, it might be, in their early 50s. They go through a phase where the hormone levels begin to change. And also, it is the end of the number of eggs that there are in our body as well. So as we're going through these changes, it affects, because the hormones are changing, the main hormones that begin to decline are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And as these begin to decline, it then does have an influence on other aspects of our body as well. It might result in some women finding that they are suddenly gaining weight, whereas they're eating the same foods that they've always eaten, but now they're finding that they're gaining weight. Some find, because of these changes in hormones, that they're going through mood swings, and they can't explain why. They're suddenly feeling happy, but then they feel quite down and irritable, or anxiety also kicks in, and because of these changes, some might even experience the really uncomfortable symptoms of like hot flushes and night sweats as well. So it really varies from person to person, but it is just a phase we go through where these hormones decline, and it then has a knock-on effect on ourselves as well, because it's affecting our health, our physiology, our mental state as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, you've mentioned a little bit before, do you think female can prepare themselves and plan for menopause?
Yes, I think we can begin to plan and prepare. And it might mean just, finding credible sources, I always say, rather than finding anything that's too scary or, horrific. And just beginning to understand how these hormone changes affect each and every one of us. And the experience is different for each person as well. In some cases, the symptoms that people experience might not be very severe, but for some people it might be more severe as well. And I'd just like to add at this point that if somebody is going through more severe symptoms, or it's something that is very different to what they've always experienced, like more pain in their breast, or there's discharge, or that they're finding that their migraines are worsening, always do consult with your doctor, and just make sure that it is nothing serious. But otherwise, if you're beginning to experience some of these symptoms, what you could begin to do is also change the types of foods that you're having now, because the foods that you were used to having may not be right for you anymore, or maybe in your 20s or in your 30s when you were having more takeaways or fast food, or more of the processed foods, it didn't result in weight gain. But now, because of the changes that are coming through, you might find that it's going to cause weight gain. So begin to make some simple swaps by just changing some of these processed foods and having more whole grains, having more foods with fiber, because fiber is very good for us. We need a very healthy gut microbiome. It supports our health in so many ways. So just making some changes to your diet is important, making sure you're always including protein in your meals at lunch and dinner, and of course even at breakfast time, making sure you're having satisfying foods as well. So planning means just thinking about these three areas, which are your diet, your lifestyle, and your mindset. And if you just decide, okay, in all these areas, can I just do a few things? Don't do too much too quickly, because that's when it becomes overwhelming. Just do a couple of things. And it might mean that you begin to reduce the sugar you're having in your tea or coffee. Or it might mean that, you begin to change your sleep routines. So if you have a better sleep routine now, it means you're supporting yourself, and you may not have, those sleep disturbances that often many people struggle with during menopause. Or it might mean, just beginning to do some meditation and mindfulness. So there's many areas we can begin to plan and prepare for, and say, what few changes can I make now, even in my 30s or my 40s, that will just sort of equip me and just allow me to enter that sort of phase, that season of my life in a better, mindset.
Mm-hmm. So am I right to say that food is actually very important, if not essential, in the process of menopause? Because for what you're saying, seems like the diet, if not have to, at least should be modified during the menopause.
Yes, the diet is important, along with many other things, but I always think the diet is very important. It's what we're putting, into our bodies as well. I have worked with women who found that in, their sort of 20s, 30s, they could skip meals, or they would just go and exercise a lot more, and they found that it didn't result in weight gain. But when they're coming into this phase, many women find that this change in hormones might result in them becoming insulin resistant, which then results in weight gain, and that weight gain around the tummy. So, if you change what you're eating, not like by doing a strict diet, but just by making a few changes, like having brown rice instead of white rice, that just means you're getting more fiber. It's going to keep you feeling more satisfied for longer. So you're not snacking a lot. If you're having a lot of sugary foods, just begin to think, why am I craving sugar so much? And what is the knock-on effect of having all these sugary foods? What could I swap and just still enjoy my cake, but maybe just make it a little bit healthier by, using natural sweeteners and reducing the amount of natural sweeteners. So the diet is important because it will affect your energy levels. The diet is going to also affect, for instance, your moods, because if you're on the sugar roller coaster, the ups and the downs that come with sugar roller coaster, you'll have points where you're then feeling quite down and you keep reaching out for sugar, but you're never feeling quite good in yourself. So getting a healthy diet means it helps in so many areas, energy, as I mentioned, your moods, but even your sleep, right? It can mean that if you're not sort of skipping meals, if you're feeling more satisfied, you're sleeping better as well. So when we work on one area, it will spill over and have an effect on other areas of our life as well.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. So you've mentioned that before, and this show is all about mental and physical health, and we talk about mindset as well as, our emotions and how we deal with things. Do you think our mindset is important when we go through such a big change?
Yeah, it's very important. And our mindset might be a little negative because of what we've been reading. And what we've got to always remind ourselves is that not everything we read or hear is going to happen to us. Even if it's happened to a family member, our lifestyle might be different to our family members. So maybe we won't experience those symptoms. So just changing that mindset from, a negative one where you're thinking, I'm going to struggle through menopause, I'm really going to suffer, I'm going to gain the weight, it's going to be a tough time for me. So not going into it having these negative thoughts, but preparing yourself, reading, and just, accepting and understanding this is a natural process. I'm going to adapt what I need to do for my own symptoms, to listen to my body. Listening to our body is very important. And just understanding how everyone will go through different symptoms and connecting with those symptoms and saying, okay, what does my body need now? And how can I, help it? And if I can't do it on my own, what help do I need to get? You're never alone through menopause. There is a lot of information available, but, you can work with others. You can also get help from your doctors. And, be surrounded by like-minded community as well, where you can talk about it. It's a topic we should be talking about. It's a natural process. We shouldn't be avoiding this topic. And it's something that, the more we talk about it, we can support and help each other as women.
Mm-hmm. It's great you mentioning that because, as far as I'm aware, menopause gets so stigmatized, and there's a lot of bad press about it too, which can be scary or stressful. When you think about that word menopause and that change, I don't know, for me, it's like, whew, big things are coming. I need to get ready. How to deal with it, how to get that approach that would, instead of stress us out, more calm us down, and how can we work on our mind state from the nervousness to more holistic, more go with the flow and just acceptance?
Yeah, I think if you look back through, we've all been through puberty, and also sometimes puberty, in some cases, people will worry, it's going to be tough. I've got maybe a teenage daughter, or, thinking about our own time when we went through puberty, thinking it's going to be really difficult. But we look back and we think, well, I got through that fine, or I needed to make some changes. And then just looking forward and saying, okay, so my hormones are going to change. And some hormones really make us do feel happy, like progesterone is this calming hormone that, is naturally made in our body, and it's going to be reducing and reducing as we are going through perimenopause. So saying, okay, if this calming hormone is reducing, what can help me feel calmer just within myself? And there is something that is free, it is readily available, and we can do this at any time and anywhere, and that is meditation and mindfulness. We can just bring it as part of our life, make it part of our life, whether we're waking up in the morning, while brushing our teeth. It could be as simple as, mindfully brushing your teeth, or while making your tea, waiting for the kettle to boil, just being mindful. That's all it is. Mindfulness is just being aware of where you are in this present moment. And what that helps us do is, when we are in this present moment, we realize actually everything is good right now. We're just worrying about something that has not even happened. So by bringing in mindfulness in our daily lives, Natalia, I think it does help us feel calmer. It helps us to feel more content. It gives us that sort of sense of satisfaction. So a daily short practice of mindfulness is wonderful. Bringing in some breathing techniques as well, very, very helpful. It helps to relax the body. And we can also bring in some meditation. And this becomes part of our life. We don't need to spend hours doing it, because everyone is busy, and often we don't have the time to, sit down for, half an hour. But even on the way to work, if you're taking a bus, or, you're on a tube, can you just close your eyes or just look down and just do a short breathing exercise? Could you bring in mindfulness as you're walking? So we begin to bring this into our life, and this really makes us feel a big difference. Okay, it's readily available. It can be done anywhere at any time.
Yeah, again, highlighted that that's the small step, tiny steps matter sometimes the most. And funny that you mentioned actually the bus situation, because when it comes to meditation, I have very hard time to do it, especially at the house. But what I start to do is just like you mentioned. I was like, okay, I'm going on the bus anyways. There's not much I can do on the bus unless being on your phone and trying to, sort out some emails. But I was like, if I'm already there, let me put some headphones on and let me just play simple meditation. If I'm going to get there at some point, amazing. If it's just going to be even in my ears, it's already a progress, because I'm such a busy person running up and down. So for me, this is where I started. I started to just listen on the bus, and then at some point I was like, actually I start to listen to it more consciously. Then I started to breathe with them, and now it becomes such a habit that every day I go on the train or on the bus, or I'm on the tube somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, I just start to practice that meditation, and it works. But it takes for me, it took a long time to get used to someone speaking to me and me listening to that meditation and trying to follow. But I must say it's possible, and it does work magic. Sometimes when I feel like a little stressed, or maybe my breathing is not there, or maybe I have some belly aches, some cramps, I start to breathe, and I'm like, ooh, that really, as simple as it sounds, it does help.
It works wonders. And you said something very important, where sometimes we feel we're not able to do it. And I think, again, this is, for me, before I ever began meditation, mindfulness, I used to in the past think, I can't do it. I can't have this blank mind. But you realize it's not about having a blank mind. Everybody's experience is different. It's more about awareness, more about just connecting with whether your breath or listening to music. And it is really about just slowing down and being present and not being influenced or comparing ourselves to others, because that's when we begin to think, am I really doing it correctly? How should I be doing it? Do I need to be sitting in a quiet room, sitting where there's no noise? And it's impossible, right? I mean, we would have to go somewhere by the seaside or in the mountains not to have any noise or just to have this very peaceful time. But if we bring it into our daily life, just how we live, that is the best way to make it work. Because it's these little things that add up. And what in menopause is important is to reduce the stress, really, because stress, when we are going through stress, it raises our cortisol levels, right? And then there is a knock-on effect of cortisol on our other hormones as well. So what we want to do is just to reduce stress, because if we can reduce stress, we can improve our sleep. That makes a huge difference. That is one of the symptoms many women struggle with during menopause. Also fatigue, right? The tiredness for many people is caused by stress. So, if you meditate, we find, okay, you know what, I'm feeling more energized. And I don't know why, but I'm feeling more energized because of meditation. But it's because it's helping us to reduce the stress as well. And it helps our moods. It's got so many wonderful benefits. And we shouldn't, I was speaking to a client, and it was almost like asking to quantify the benefits of meditation, mindfulness. And I said, it doesn't come overnight. It's a practice.
That's correct. I am the living example. I'm the worst one with meditation. I am always running up and down, never able to do some yoga and relax. But the moment I set my mind for it, like, this is what I'm going to do, even if it's just playing on my ears and I'm not doing anything, one day I'm going to stop for a minute. The second day I'm going to stop for 2 minutes. And maybe there will be a time when for 10 full minutes or 15 minutes, I will be able to just follow the meditation guidance, do my breathing, and it gets there slowly. It gets there. I am able sometimes to fully relax. So it's doable. Yeah, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned that before you just mentioned about sleeping patterns and insomnia. Do you have any recommendation how to work with those different symptoms, like hot flashes, weight gain, mood swings, like you mentioned, sleeping problems?
Yeah, sleeping problems. This is something I personally, this for me is something I'm working on always for myself as well. Because I find some days I sleep really well, some days I don't really sleep well. And, it's basic things like don't drink too many fluids later in the day, because, one of the reasons many of us wake up in the night is to go to the toilet. So, try not to drink too much, and again, for some people, it might mean, don't drink too much after 6 o'clock. But for others who I'm working with, they may have to reduce their fluids, even earlier. So just connect and listen to your body, understand, how your bladder works as well. And then a big thing that affects our sleep are our gadgets. And, there's so much goodness in the technology, but we also have become quite addicted to our gadgets, whether it's, the phone, the TV, the laptop, all these devices emit blue light, which has been shown to affect melatonin levels, and that can have an effect on our sleep. So switching off from our gadgets, maybe just doing something like a short digital detox and saying, between this time and, like an hour or 2 hours before I sleep, I'll try and not, be on using any gadgets. It might even mean that you're looking at the foods you're having. Is that affecting your sleep? Because if you're eating very late at night and if you're having a large meal, that might mean you can't sleep very well. Trying to get a regular routine for bedtime, very important. And so many women are really busy, not just menopause. Like if you look at most women, you've got a family, you're working, and when you're going into menopause, you've got teenagers in the house, you've got aging parents you're looking after as well. You're busy with your work. with other commitments. And when you get busy and you've got things to do, we often just say, I'll just leave it and do it later in the evening when the house is quiet, right? So we end up just staying up later at night, trying to complete what we didn't get in the day. And then our regular routines fall out of pattern. So just almost trying to bring in the sleep routine and saying, okay, what is the best time for me to sleep? Now, some people need more sleep. For some, it might be 7 hours, and others, it might be 8 hours. But trying to get the amount of sleep that your body needs, and you're waking up feeling refreshed as well, and then just helping yourself go to sleep with simple things. Like I like to use some massage creams, just massaging my hands, massaging my feet. So just keeping this next to me on my bedside table. That's very relaxing. Just a little massage you do for yourself, right? That's really, really good to do. Or you could just take some lavender, and they have these sprays, like pillow sprays. You could just spray that on your pillow, or just having some diffusers or candles, if that works for you. But something to help you calm down, come into a good routine while sleeping. And then, looking at the temperature of your room, trying to make sure it's not too hot, having a cooler room, what you're wearing as well. And right now we are in autumn. So, do you need to have warmer duvet or not? Looking at these things, because we wake up at times, are we too hot, or are we too cold? So understanding what is affecting your sleep. And when you wake up in the night, the worst thing that you could say when you're woken up at night and you can't sleep is, this is where the mindfulness, the breathing comes in, Natalia, because when we wake up at night, and the thought comes, well, I'm not sleeping well, I can't sleep. And then you begin to think, well, because I'm not sleeping, tomorrow I'm going to be tired. And because tomorrow I'm going to be tired, it's going to affect my work. It's going to affect my moods. And I know I'm going to, need a lot of food to keep me going or something. So just one thing has happened. We're not sleeping well, and we're already catastrophizing the next day, right? By saying, all this is going to happen because I've not slept well. So if you're waking up at night, rather than going through all these thoughts about how things can go wrong the next day because you're not sleeping well, just do a short breathing exercise. And that will help you relax and will help you to go back to sleep. And as you just shared yourself, it may not work the first night, it may not work the second night, but you keep practicing it and you find that it helps you sleep after, a few times of doing it, or helps you at least relax and feel calm, and you're not stressing about the next day.
It's so great. It's funny that you said that, because it happened to me the other day when I'm like, okay, I cannot sleep. And then I had actually some belly cramps, and I just don't want to wake up for pills again and wait till they start to work. So I just started to breathe, and it took me maybe a good 10 minutes, but I really put all my intention in that breathing. You know what? The belly stopped hurting. I fall asleep. I didn't know when, but I have that tendency to be like, oh my God, tomorrow is such a busy day. I'm not sleeping now. I'm not going to get any hours. So you just have to really talk to yourself. I cannot stress it more, like how self-talk is at that moment the only and the best, I feel like the best way to just help yourself.
Yeah. And the word you used, you were intentional, right? You've got to create that intention, because when you create that intention, you will do it. So I like the word you just used, you were intentional about doing the breathing.
Very much like, okay, I need to help myself because there's no one else who's going to do it at this time. So let's just be my own friend, not my enemy.
Yeah, true. We are our worst enemies at times, right?
Oh, tell me about it. I can be my worst enemy and my worst critic at some point. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Let's just be friendly.
Yeah.
Why do we have me? We only have ourselves. Let's just be nice to ourselves.
Yeah. And kindness and compassion is very important, as we're going through these changes. So, I'm going to be going through menopause, and I'm not sure when, but at some point I'll be going through this, and already starting now, speak kindly to yourself, self-compassion, self-love, self-care. In many ways, self-care. And self-care is not just, going and getting your hair or your nails done or going for a massage. but just speaking nicely to yourself and doing little things every day to look after yourself.
That's correct. Thanking your own body that, it helps you to go through it and it serves you every day. Your colon, your lungs, your heart, everything serves you every day. Just be thankful.
Yeah.
Recently I had my knee surgery and I was so upset and I'm just like, oh, those knees, oh. So projecting that wrong energy. And then recently I start to kiss my knees and be like, thank you, knees, for today's training. Thank you for letting me do it. Let's keep going. Just changing that approach. It might be silly. It might sound funny, but you know what? It might help too.
No, giving daily
My own
gratitude
body.
for your body, being healthy. Yeah.
And being grateful, the gratitude. Thank you for today, for taking me. It was a little bit painful, but hey, we done it.
Yeah.
Let's just try to do it tomorrow too. So, speaking about all these little changes, you mentioned about exercising too. How to exercise through the menopause? I found it very difficult sometimes when it comes to menopause because obviously you're facing hot whip flashes, and then the insomnia come into a picture. And then so when you train, sometimes as a trainer, obviously you have that awareness, but then also you want to get the work done. How to navigate as a trainee and as a trainer, I guess, through the menopause?
I think it's about checking and seeing where you are on that day. So, for instance, if somebody's already quite healthy and fit, then they know what they can do. But if somebody's just starting out, then, starting with them very gradually. But then looking at the day, so if you've not had a good night's sleep because you've had the, night sweats and you've just not, if you have the night sweats, it's really uncomfortable and you wake up feeling tired. So because you've had a difficult night sleeping and you're waking up tired, cardio, a lot of cardio or a lot of high intensity may not be the right approach this day. So on this day, maybe you can do something a little bit lower impact, doing some weights, doing some, like sort of strength training, doing some core work as well. So just adapting it to how you feel on the day. But it doesn't mean that because you didn't sleep, it's like you don't say, well, I can't exercise. It's like, okay, I'm going to exercise, but I'm going to do what I can. I'm still going to challenge myself, but I'm not going to cause any injuries or I'm not going to cause myself any pain, because you don't want to feel depleted after exercise. So it's saying, okay, I'm just going to connect and see, okay, this is how I'm feeling. And this is what I can do today. And, tomorrow, maybe, or the day after, when I sleep better, then I'll do a little bit more, of the high resistance, training. So it's really just understanding how that day is. And sometimes it's got to mean being a little flexible, really.
So like basically a dialogue and conversation, and then understanding from both sides, but also just because you go through menopause, we should not excuse ourselves for that as well.
No, we shouldn't. And in fact, exercise is so important because it does help release the, the feel good hormones and those endorphins. So we feel good, but also we need it at this time because it's been shown to reduce the risk of osteoporosis, right? So it'll help to strengthen the bones and muscles. So we need it at this time. So it shouldn't be an excuse not to exercise, but it's just saying, let me see how far you can go. I call it the pain threshold, or, like every day, like keeping it below a pain threshold, but keeping it to a point where you're still challenging yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So just to end up, just summarize it very briefly. We already covered that, but just to keep few bullet points, what are the simple changes would you suggest women to make to help with menopause symptoms? If we can just give it like clear, short guidance.
I would say take charge of yourself. Really, really don't just leave it and say, when the time comes, I'm going to go and get sort of the guidance from my doctor. Take charge yourself. If you need to take any medication or, the HRT, your doctor will be the best to discuss that with. But what you can do is to say, I can control a few things in my life. I cannot control all, but what can I control? I can control what I'm eating. I can control what I'm drinking, right? So try and drink lots of water. Try and stay hydrated, really important. Try and eat balanced meals as much as you can. And this is not about dieting or saying, you can't have your favorite foods, but just saying, I'll try and just make a few swaps. I'll try and eat healthy. I always recommend walking. Highly, highly recommend it. It's just bringing in activity, but it's also good for our mental health as well, bringing in some exercises, like you're exercising with your clients. So just exercising, doing that, and then bringing in some journaling, meditation, mindfulness. If you don't have much time, just do a short practice, as short as you can. But don't do all these things at one time. Just pick maybe 1, 2, or 3, work on those. Once you're doing that on a daily basis, it becomes your habit, then add a new one. Don't pressure yourself, don't overwhelm yourself.
And I think that's fantastic. Sum up of the conversation. Do not do everything at once. It's never going to work. Even worse, it might just really stress you out. And slow down your process. Take one step at a time. Patience is the key. Consistency is the key. Don't give up. And just keep doing what you can. Menopause is not an illness. It's not something that we should avoid. It's something that we have to learn how to live with, because it's a life process, like you mentioned. So thank you so much for this calming and very informative conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalia.
I think everyone learned something. I've learned a lot, so I'm now ready and prepared.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, thank you. And you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Nagging pain. We at Alka-Cells know that a small amount of the patient's own bone marrow and blood cells can treat many painful conditions with regenerative orthopedic therapy. This is an attractive treatment option for painful joints, back pain, sports injuries, and many other conditions. It may avoid the need for surgery altogether. Alka-Cells, part of a network of 50 RegenX clinics worldwide where over 60,000 patients have been treated and helped. Alka-Cells. Life is more beautiful with less pain.
A cancer diagnosis can be scary and stressful for everyone involved. Hello Love is a contemporary living space and well-being center in central London where anyone can come and learn about illness prevention and non-toxic practice. Inside, you will find a vegan restaurant, juice bar, and holistic dojo that encourage lifestyle changes to help heal mind, body, and spirit connection. Cancer patients are offered free sessions. To find out more, please visit us at hellolove.org.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
The menopause affects every woman, and for many, this natural stage in life can become a time of physical and emotional discomfort. Take these steps to help reduce or prevent menopause effects. Cool hot flashes. Dress in layers, have a cool glass of water, or go somewhere cooler. Get enough sleep. Remember, rest is extremely important. Practice relaxation techniques. Maybe meditation, yoga, Pilates, simple walks can help. Strengthen your pelvic floor. Eat a balanced diet. Remember, nutrition is very important. Sleep can be affected by your diet. Moods can be affected by your diet. So make sure that you eat well. Don't smoke and avoid alcohol. Exercise regularly. Exercise is different from woman to woman. adapt your exercise routine to suit you. For example, maybe more resistant training, or just find what works for you. Maybe it's dancing or boxing. Test and try. Adapt and change. Remember, your experience might be completely different to others. So accept it, embrace it, and look for solutions. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Share with me your thoughts, comments, DM me with your life stories. If you have any questions or you would like me to talk about any particular subject, please contact me. You know where to find me. Follow me on Instagram, Fitness with NK, where you can leave your message. Make sure you visit my website, www.nataliakotowska.com. You have free trainings over there, one-to-one PT session possibility, a lot of information, blog, articles to read. So make sure you visit my website. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.